Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Dina Troutman. I will be presenting today's webinar, and our webinar will be moderated by Ashley Brown. We are your member relations specialists here at Oki 811. Today we're going to be covering our new dispatch form and our new dispatch update form, but first let's go over a few housekeeping items. The orange arrow on your screen is used to expand or collapse your interface. All attendees are in listen-only mode. You can click the screen icon to view the presentation in full screen, and you may submit questions using the questions box shown here. And we will be responding to those questions during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. We will give you a reminder before the end so you can be sure and get those questions submitted. First, we're going to walk through submitting a new dispatch form. So to submit a new dispatch form, you would log into the Oki 811 member portal using your OP username. If you're not sure how to log into the portal or if you're not registered for the portal, you can contact member services after the webinar and we can assist you with that. But once you're logged into the member portal, you'll select the membership info tab. On the left-hand side at the bottom, you can see it says click here to create a new dispatch code, and we're going to select that link. That's going to bring us to our new dispatch form. This form is to create a new dispatch code under your existing membership. A new dispatch code can help separate locate request notifications based on geographic location of your underground facilities or based on the type of facilities you have. This new dispatch will be billed with your existing membership, and if you would prefer for it to be billed separately, you would want to complete a membership application. The first question that you're going to be asked on that new dispatch form is if you're able to provide mapping information of those underground facilities. That information is required, so if you select no, you're going to come to the screen where it gives you the big stop sign, lets you know that information is required, and you can reapply when you have that information available. If you select yes, it's going to ask if you recently acquired the assets you're registering and provide the name of the company whom you acquired those assets from. That just helps us make sure that we're getting those assets removed from them so we aren't notifying extra people. The next information we'll need is the member information. So first you'd want to enter the name of the company on your existing membership account. So for our example, we're going to use Oki 811. The person that submits this form must be an authorized contact for the company. If they're not an authorized contact, we will need to reach out to the authorized contacts to get approval. Then you would need to enter your member code, and you can find that code on your annual invoice, or you can contact member services if you need that information. You can also customize your dispatch code. This dispatch code would be limited to 10 characters and it cannot exceed that character limit. If you don't provide a custom dispatch code, we will just go ahead and assign one for you. So we'll just use one of our example codes. And then you can also customize your dispatch label if you'd like. The dispatch label is what appears on the locate request where excavators can see the names of the members who have been notified. You can also use the label to help identify the assets registered under each dispatch code if you have more than one. These labels do have a character limit of 26 characters. It will be cut off at 23 characters, however, so you just want to make sure that you're aware of that when naming your dispatch if you would prefer to. And then we would select next. Then we're going to need to give information for our account contacts. Each contact listed should include their first and last name, the phone number, and their email address. So first we would want to enter our one call contact. This is going to be the person responsible for maintaining information on file with Oki 811. They're going to receive the important messages from us. They will have full access to the Oki 811 portal with the authority to make changes to account contacts, locate request notifications, and the underground facilities on file. You may enter up to 3 people as one call contacts. And just for an example, this is how you would want to make sure you list that information, just the first and last name, phone number, and email address. Next, you can enter that emergency repair contact. You may not have one for your company, but if you do, this would be the person responsible for handling or responding to damages to underground facilities. This information may be printed on damage report notifications, and it could be given to the public. If you don't have an emergency repair contact, you can just enter NA and move to the next question, which is where we need to know if you have a design contact. Again, your company may not have this, but this would be the person or department who maintains your underground facilities. This just enables OKI 811 to connect engineers who are in the design planning stages of their projects with the proper personnel in your organization. Having this information can help keep projects in that design phase from being submitted as a locate request. This contact will not have any authorization to make changes to the account information. This will cover our additional contacts. These additional contacts are for very specific roles within your organization. You're going to want to list their information, again, the same way, that first and last name, phone number, and email. We have the GIS contact. This would be the personnel responsible for maintaining the underground facilities on file. In the portal, they would have access to the service area editor, queue, reports, and membership info. And you can enter 3 of these contacts as well. If you don't have a GIS contact for your organization, enter NA to go to that next question. Then we have our locator contacts. These are the personnel receiving and responsible for responding to your locate request notifications. In the portal, they would have access to queue, reports, positive response, and member info. We can discuss information on file with this contact, but any requested changes would need to be approved by a one-call contact. And again, you can enter up to 3 contacts. Next, we have our third-party contact. This would be the support team for either ticket management or locating service companies utilized by the member company. This contact could have portal user account to upload responses only, but will not have authorization to make any changes to that account information, and you can have more than one third-party contact if necessary. Next, we would need locate request notification information. This is going to be your outputs. An output is each unique method on how locate request notifications are transmitted. All members receive one primary output per dispatch as no charge as OKI 811's basic service. When you're selecting your primary output, you can choose from email or FTP. If you select FTP, we will reach out to you by phone to collect that FTP address and credentials. FTP is a standard communication protocol used to transfer those computer files from a server to a client on a computer network. We normally see these with our ticket management companies, and they are different from just a standard email. For our example, we're going to go ahead and just select an email, and you would just want to enter the email address and the name of the person whom the email belongs to, and then you would select next. And then we have our additional outputs. An additional output is another notification in addition to your primary output. You can have transmission types of an email, FTP, a text message, or automated call notifications. It is important to remember that $120 maintenance fee per year is applied to each additional output set up under each dispatch, and you can find that information on our OKI 811 fee schedule at oki811.org/member documents. And if you'd like to add an additional output, you can select yes. You have the option to enter that electronic output information, which would be an email, FTP, or text. It is important when entering the text information to make sure you always provide that provider or carrier name, such as T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. And then you can also add notes down at the bottom if you need to add any notes. Then you would read and agree to all the terms and conditions. And when you get to the bottom, you'll have your submitted by information. So you would want to enter that first and last name, their email address, and their phone number. If the contact that submits the information is different than any of the contacts you listed on the form, we will make this person a one-call contact. And then you would simply submit this form, and then we would get that processed for you. If you have any questions about that new dispatch form, you can go ahead and get those questions submitted now. Next, we're going to cover our dispatch update form. Let's close out of here. To get to that dispatch update form, again, you're going to be in the portal. You would select that membership info. On the left-hand side, you would come to your code box and select one of the codes that you're linked to. After you review your dispatch information and figure out what information needs to be updated, you would select the update information, and that's going to bring you directly to that dispatch updates. If you need to make any changes to the mapping of your underground facilities, you would want to log into the service area editor to make those changes. And on this form, you need to provide the name on the existing membership account. So Oki 811. You would also want to provide your member code, which again, you can find on your invoice or contact member services. And then you would want to provide your dispatch code. On this form, when you are updating any of your account contacts or your authorized contacts, it's important to make sure that you're using one of the prompts when you're updating those. So if you wanted to add somebody, you would enter add and then put in their first and last name, phone number, and their email address. If you're wanting to update a contact, you would include that contact's name and the new updated information. If you wanted to remove a contact, you would include that contact's first and last name. And then if you don't have any updates necessary to that section, you can just go ahead and enter NA, and it will take you through each one of our contacts here to make sure we cover any of those contacts that you might need to update. Next, we'll see if you need to make any changes to your locate request notifications. These are your outputs again. So if you need to make changes to your existing electronic output, you would update it. You would want to include both the current email address you have listed or FTP information or text, and then the information you'd like to update that to. If you want to remove, you would put remove and then include the information you'd like to remove. And then if you have no updates necessary, you would go ahead and put NA. One of the outputs that we get lots of questions about when people need to make changes is changes to those call notifications. The call notifications are the automated calls you receive when there's a ticket, a short notice ticket that has a dig time of 24 hours or less. So on these, if you wanted to add the name and phone number of a person to be added, you would just want to make sure that you let us know where you want them added if you have more than one contact. Do you want them added as the first person to call, the second person to call? If you wanted to update that information and you just wanted to say change the priority of the people that are called. So right now, if we had the automated calls calling Dina, Ashley, and Eva, and we just wanted to update that, we could put the prompt of update and then list Eva, Ashley, and Dina for our new order. If you wanted to replace a contact, since this is an open text field, you could just enter any of the information you would like. And so if you just wanted to replace a contact to make it nice and easy, you could just let us know replace Eva with Angie. That way we know exactly who we're removing and replacing that person with. And then if you'd like to add any additional outputs, you can do so here also. Just please remember when adding those additional outputs, those additional output fees will apply. And you also want to select yes or no, and then enter any notes if you would like. And enter NA in that notes field. And on these terms and conditions, of course, you would again want to read and agree to the terms and conditions, and then enter that submitted by information. And if you have any questions about that dispatch update form, you can go ahead and get those submitted now as well. We are going to cover a few reminders and we will be answering those questions next. So just remember when you're making changes to use those prompts such as add, update, or remove. And in that open text field, if that doesn't really suit what you need, you can type out and let us know what you need. Use NA if you do not need to make changes to that particular section. That way you can advance through the form, because as you see, it will not let you go forward if you don't have those forms filled or those sections filled out. If you have any questions or additional comments, be sure to add those in the notes section. When you're adding an FTP output, member services will contact you directly for that information. When adding a text output, always include your cell phone carrier, such as T-Mobile, AT&T, etc. And remember, each additional output will incur that $120 per year fee. So you really want to check that fee schedule and make sure that the outputs you have really work well for your organization. And now let's see if we have any questions.
Thank you so much, Dina, for all of that fantastic information. We did have 2 questions. The first one said, I have emergency short notice calls. There are 3 people on the list to receive the calls. Am I charged $120 for each person?
No, you're not charged for the amount of people you have listed. You're just charged for the output. So you're charged $120 for that EMS and output, whether you have 1 person listed or 5 people listed. That's a great question. Thank you very much.
That is a really great question. The next question says, what if I need to make several changes to my emergency short notice contacts? Can I just type update and then type the list the way that I want it to be, in the correct order that I want it to be?
Absolutely. Whatever works for you, please just put that in the field. If we have any questions when we're going through that, or if there's any confusion, we will reach out to the person who submitted the form directly to make sure we understand the changes that you're wanting to make. That was also a great question. And were those all our questions? You said we just had 2?
Yep, those are it. And if anybody thinks of any questions, feel free to reach out to Member Services. We'd be more than happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And of course, like Ashley said, we're always here for you. So you can always reach out to us. If you think of any questions or have suggestions for future webinar topics, please contact our Education and Outreach Department at education@okie811.org. To register for any of our future webinars or watch a recorded webinar, you can go to okie811.org/education events. If you have any questions regarding your membership, you can contact Member Services at memberservices@okie811.org. And if you have any questions regarding the service area editor or your mapping, you can contact your GIS team at gis@okie811.org. There is going to be a survey at the end. We do appreciate any of your feedback or ideas that you have for future webinar topics, so please submit those. Stay safe and thank you for your time.